Welcome to The Bad and the Ugly.
Because there's nothing good about it. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Ryan.
And today we're looking at actors. But first, what do actors do? Well, as it says in the name, they act. The only part of the crew that is in front of the camera rather than behind, they're the ones that carry the story forward and the film's narrative. Arguably, they are the most important part of any film.
Speaking of acting, we also have a thing called star power. Star power is basically an actor who is so well known around the world that they are used to sell the movie. This is particularly well used within independent movies. A classic example of this ever happening was in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Actress Janet Leigh, who had been known for a few movies before, was used as the selling point of this film, even though, and spoiler alert, she was killed off halfway through the movie, and the rest of the movie was carried by a lesser-known star, Anthony Perkins, as the main character. This gave birth to the term false protagonist.
Usually films will have a large cast with each actor playing one character, and a great cast can mean a great film, such with Pulp Fiction. However, the cost for actors are actually pretty large, with actors getting millions for one film. Just last year, for The Fast and the Furious 8, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson received an 8-figure salary.
Speaking of actors, let's go on to the term actor. Having one actor in a film carrying the whole movie isn't a very popular practice. However, in recent years, there has become a trend of this happening in movies such as Buried, with just Ryan Reynolds, and Tom Hardy in Lock, and to a lesser extent, Tom Hanks in Castaway. The question we must ask ourselves is this: what if films had just one actor? Let's find out. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, one of my personal favourite movies of all time, stars Clint Eastwood, Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef.
With A Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More and The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, it's the third of a trilogy that revitalised the Western genre.
Because of Sergio Leone's original style, which influenced the redesign of the Western, which in its time was carrying very non-violent themes, this changed the genre as a whole and gave birth to a new genre of Western that we see as being gritty and dark and can carry as much violence as it pleases.
The actually funny thing with the acting is that the only ones who could speak English in the film were the three main actors, meaning that every other character you see was actually talking their mother language. So it was like dubbed in English, but it was an Italian production.
On the topic of the actors in this movie, the main star, Clint Eastwood, was only partly well known for a TV series which he had done a few years before named Rawhide. The co-star of the film, or arguably the true star of this film, Eli Wallach, was already a well-known face in the movie industry. And Lee Van Cleef, even though he was a familiar face at the time, still hadn't worked in the industry for a few years. All three actors in this movie popularised themselves in the industry, and all three had a career after this. For instance, Eli Wallach became a very well-known face in more spaghetti westerns, as did Lee Van Cleef, and Clint Eastwood himself became a very well-known director and actor many years after this film was made, and continues to be so today. And now, for our movie-ruining displeasure of yours, here's our interpretation of a one single actor version of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
12 Angry Men is a film where 12 men sit in a room and debate whether a son is guilty of killing his father or not, with most of them being angry at some point. With such a stunning film, it's surprising that it was only filmed in one room, apart from the beginning and ending scenes. Even with this, only 2 of the actors were actually big at the time: Henry Fonda, who was also the producer for the film, and Lee J. Cobb.
Even before any filming began, there were extensive rehearsals done between all 12 actors in order to give them an idea of what it was like to be locked in a room with 11 other strangers. Even though the film does maintain a very smooth pace, the filming had to be done out of sequence. This means that filming between 2 scenes would be filmed at least 3 weeks apart. The film could go between a calm and smooth atmosphere towards a very tense and argumentative atmosphere.
They all went on to have successful careers afterwards. Juror 1, Martin Balsam, might seem familiar, being in both Psycho and Murder on the Orient Express. A very familiar voice is that of Juror 2, John Fielder, who went into voice acting and is known as Piglet from the Disney's Winnie the Pooh. Lee J. Cobb, Juror 3, went on to have a successful career and later had a role in The Exorcist.
It is one of the finest examples of a film that concentrates only on the actors' abilities and their interactions with each other. But could this movie, featuring 12 different actors, be made with just one actor? Ladies and gentlemen, here's our interpretation.
Boy, there's always one.
Well, what do you now?
I guess we talk. Oh boy.
You really think he's innocent?
I don't know. You sat in court with the rest of us, you heard what he did. The kid's a dangerous killer. You can see it. He's 18 years old. That's old enough. He stabbed his own father 4 inches into the chest. They proved that to you a dozen different ways in court. Would you like me to read them for you? No. Then what do you want? I just want to talk. What's there to talk about? 11 of us think he's guilty. No one here had to think about it twice except you. I want to ask you something. Do you believe his story? I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't. So how come you voted not guilty? Well, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first. Well, now, who says it's easy? No one. What, just because I voted first? I still think the kid is guilty. Couldn't change my mind if you talked about it for 100 years. I'm not trying to change your mind, it's just that we're talking about a kid's life here. We can't decide that in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong. Supposing we're wrong. Suppose this whole building fell down on my head. You can suppose anything. That's right. But if it's how long it takes? Let's do it in 5 minutes, so what? Let's take an hour. Ball game doesn't start until 8 o'clock.
Overall, having one actor for more characters is probably not the best idea and won't save you money. Unless that's what you want to go for, such with Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, which gives a very nice level of humour.
Also, using one actor to play twins, for example Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap or even Tom Hardy more recently in Legend, is this particularly a good idea? But you can decide whether this is a good practice or not.
Very true. But I'm afraid that's all we have time for this episode. Tune in next time for our last episode, very sad, about time periods. You've been watching The Bad and the Ugly.
And don't forget, there is nothing good about it.